Well, never mind all that stuff, because COVID also taught Sunny Hostin how to get her groceries delivered. Yeah, I know, amazing. But that means it's time for...
Living your life and you're feeling low. You don't know what is true. You don't know what's true. So you quick flip through the channels to watch Sunny on The View. Oh my God, the stuff she says is dumb. Where the hell they get this woman from? She's a host who's always crass and lame, with lots of nonsense to proclaim.
Sunny Hostin just went into total meltdown. No planets to blame this time. Greg Gutfeld hit her with a reality check so sharp it nearly short-circuited the teleprompter. The hypocrisy? Exposed. The drama? Off the charts. Tissues practically vanished as the chaos unfolded. Watching her unravel was like seeing a bargain wig torn apart in a hurricane. This clash wasn't just TV, it was a full-on spectacle. And the kicker, you won't believe what slipped out once the cameras cut.
Make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly, it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a stick.
Sunny Hostin finally snapped, and this wasn't the everyday flare-up The View serves whenever a harmless question gets tossed around. No, this was a full-scale, high-definition 4K meltdown broadcast in real time. And the spark? Greg Gutfeld. In just 2 minutes, he exposed more hypocrisy than The View has managed to sweep under the rug in 20 years.
So, Sunny, I bet you haven't been in a supermarket since COVID for about 3 years.
I haven't been in a supermarket since COVID. For about 3 years. That's when I discovered Instacart, and I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well, and it's so that's been an issue, I think, for the company. But man, you can get toiletries, you can get fire logs. You know those big Bounty towels you don't want to carry.
Those from Costco.
Somebody else goes.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable. Hey, I'm an but at least I tip.
If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe. It began like any other Tuesday on The View, an opening drenched in group therapy vibes, loud affirmations, endless self-congratulations, and a collective pledge that once again they were the guardians of democracy. One misguided hot take at a time. Sunny Hostin, cast as the show's resident legal mind, played the part with the skill of a teen hammering buttons on Guitar Hero. Energetic, but disastrous. Front and center, she delivered her signature wisdom: blame everyone else, and remember, facts don't matter if you shout them with enough passion.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe. Here's how she took the news.
If you've never sat through The View, picture the comment section of a heated political Facebook thread, except it's hosted by people who skimmed a Wikipedia page on the Constitution and crowned themselves experts. Sunny slides right into that lineup. She's branded as the voice of reason, but only if your version of reason is shrieking threat to democracy every time someone dares to challenge her latte-fueled worldview.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
Fact of life. Interesting change of tune. For more, we go to our chief Sunny Hostin correspondent for a reaction.
And then, karma struck. Greg Gutfeld stepped in, and that's when the spectacle truly ignited. Gutfeld isn't polished in the classic sense. He's more like that sharp-tongued guest at dinner who finally says what everyone else is thinking, but too timid to admit. Sunny clearly missed the memo that sarcasm is still legal in most states. The moment Gutfeld rolled out her highlight reel of hypocrisy, she folded faster than a deck chair in a hurricane. Here's Exhibit A, Sunny's uncanny gift for preaching civil discourse, while just weeks earlier labeling half the nation as a swarm of democracy-destroying goblins. Civil discourse, but only if you parrot her views. Otherwise, you're branded an accessory to treason. That's Sunny Hostin's brand of logic, a chaotic mashup of courtroom drama and middle school cafeteria politics. And Gutfeld, he wasn't done. He morphed into a forensic auditor, pulling receipts like he was combing through her entire public record. One moment, Sunny rages against family separations at the border. Fast forward to her favored administration doing the exact same thing, and suddenly it's brushed off as complicated policy nuances too sophisticated for ordinary Americans to comprehend. Hypocrisy wasn't just her slip-up, it was practically her signature embroidery.
Oh, I'm gonna milk this till the end of time. You're right. Anytime she says something stupid, I'm gonna go, slave owner! Kat, I just watched that. That's the second time I've watched that. She was tipped off beforehand, right? Because they had to tell her before, so she had time to regroup. They wouldn't just surprise. Do you think? No?
I don't know. I feel like she could have maybe done better. Okay, here's the thing.
Greg laid everything bare. Sunny's outrage works like a light switch. Flipped on the second, a conservative sneezes. Shut off the moment a liberal trips over the Constitution. She's the kind who demands an investigation into the ethics of a tweet while rushing to defend politicians who couldn't spell ethics even if you spotted them the E and the T. And the crowd. They reacted exactly like the loyal congregation they always are. Gutfeld could have dropped a scrapbook of Sunny's contradictions, signed by Sunny herself, and they still would have booed him for spreading hate. So Sunny reached for the oldest play in the TV handbook, the victim card. Faster than you can whisper audience sympathy, she turned on the trembling voice, and the well-rehearsed tears polished through at least 3 rounds of media training this year. Suddenly, Gutfeld's criticism morphed into a sweeping assault on women, minorities, and if you listened closely, probably rescue puppies too. Because when you can't win with facts, you just expand the battlefield until the entire fight is waged on raw emotion.
I think that women, white women in particular, want to protect the patriarchy here because it's to their benefit. Yeah. They want to make sure that their husbands do well. They want to make sure that their sons do well. They want to make sure that their children do well. And they want to make sure that they do well. Most of the women in some of these studies are married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Yeah. Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there.
Sunny, after years of hurling insults at millions of Americans from her cushy ABC throne, suddenly broke down because someone dared to note she contradicted herself more than a motivational speaker with commitment issues. The display was emotional gymnastics worthy of a gold medal if Olympic judges scored for lack of self-awareness. And The View? They circled the wagons like an old Western posse, but instead of fending off outlaws, they were shielding Sunny from the terrifying danger of being fact-checked. Whoopi Goldberg even offered a pep talk that boiled down to, remember, facts are optional if your feelings are strong enough. Meanwhile, producers scrambled backstage, fretting over Sunny's fragile state, as though being exposed for public hypocrisy on live TV isn't just another Tuesday for politicians and pundits alike. You'd think she'd be used to it by now, but no, this apparently was different.
Joy Behar gets racism after all. She's been black on Halloween. Yeah. But Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. But that is convenient, right? It's like one of my aunts dies every time Brian Kilmeade wants to hang out. Maybe Joy needs a full day to read her hate mail, and that's just from the rest of the cast. So Scott had to deal with Sunny Hostin and her typical self-righteousness.
This was Greg Gutfeld daring to announce the Emperor had no clothes, while the Emperor clutched her designer coffee mug in tears. Social media wasted no time. Within minutes, Twitter lit up with memes. One savage post showed Sunny captioned, "Strong opinions, weak spine." Another had her sobbing on set with the tagline, "When you realize receipts don't lie." Even people who usually avoid politics started chiming in. Turns out, when you preach civility while trashing half the country, the internet doesn't forget. Meanwhile, Gutfeld's segment exploded online. His sarcastic, straightforward breakdown of Sunny's meltdown struck a nerve with viewers sick of being gaslit by the same 3 recycled cable news slogans. It was practically a masterclass in revealing the truth. The View isn't a discussion, it's a live-action Tumblr thread with studio lighting. Not a debate, but a choreographed routine where everyone's in sync, and anyone who cannonballs into the pool gets booed for violence.
But unlike this chick, we didn't think it was the best thing that could have happened to us. Although it did get Joy Behar to wear a mask. People, you make me sick. It's funny, her being named Joy is like me being named Ugly.
What made it even juicier was watching The View scramble to spin the disaster. Suddenly, it wasn't about Sunny's hypocrisy. Oh no, it was about protecting women from attacks. It was about standing up to bullying. Apparently, pointing out contradictions now qualifies as a federal hate crime. In truth, The View has always been a sanctuary for ideas that have never survived an adult conversation. Sunny Hostin and her co-hosts don't want debate. They want a daily self-esteem workshop masquerading as political analysis. The moment someone dares to bring logic, consistency, or heaven forbid sarcasm into the mix, the whole panel crumbles like a dollar store umbrella in a hurricane. Sunny's breakdown wasn't random, it was inevitable. She's been stacking her tower of hypocrisy for years, brick by brick, contradiction by contradiction. Greg Gutfeld just did the unthinkable. He sneezed, and the whole structure came crashing down.
Did you watch the whole thing or just the parts that I sent you?
I watched it. Obviously, just the parts that you said. Did I watch a whole episode of The View?
No woman can do that unless you're stupid. But
I have a job.
Here's the thing. How can they call themselves progressives when they keep saying that nothing has progressed? Then it's on them.
Right. I just wish I could have, would have watched if I could, would have been Joy Behar watching that.
Yes.
And being like, I totally made the right call. It was not an accident that they had him there on her day off when she was, presented herself as the, expert on systemic racism.
No modern meltdown is complete without a rebrand. Sunny shifted into a teary-eyed sermon about growth and the courage to be vulnerable. Translation, please ignore the fact that I was just caught playing Calvin ball with my own principles on live TV. It was almost impressive in a twisted way, watching The View spin a public exposure of lies and double standards into a healing moment felt like the script of a new Marvel film, The Gaslighters Assemble. Meanwhile, Gutfeld kept racking up wins. No shouting, no outrage, just that trademark smirk guaranteed to drive the perpetually offended over the edge. He knows the rules of the game. The moment you expose the Emperor's nakedness, they'll accuse you of attacking body positivity. And Sunny? She's trapped in the loop. Every time she tries to climb back onto her moral high horse, someone brings up that tiny little detail where she melted faster than butter in a microwave when confronted with her own words. At this point, she isn't just a TV personality, she's a living meme.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist. You see?
A perfect case study in what happens when emotional manipulation collides with real accountability. In a fair world, The View might use this moment to pause, reflect, and maybe, just maybe, invite voices with different perspectives. They could rediscover the lost art of adult conversation, where disagreement doesn't require a fainting couch. But let's be honest, the odds of The View embracing intellectual honesty are about as likely as Sunny Hostin winning a Pulitzer for political courage. Instead, brace for episodes featuring emotional support llamas, breathing workshops, and a 3-part series titled Why Feelings Matter More Than Facts. And Sunny, she'll keep clinging to the imaginary high ground, mistaking altitude for morality. She'll keep preaching about how truth matters, while dodging anything resembling truth like it's radioactive. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld will keep doing what he does best, reminding America that the Emperor isn't just naked, he's demanding a standing ovation for his outfit.
More time to talk. And I thought Will Smith wouldn't let a black man finish. If her IQ was half as high as her smugness, she'd be Einstein. And later it got weird after Whoopi Goldberg asked a question and Sunny chimed in again.
If nothing else, Sunny's meltdown left us with a gift, a perfectly televised reminder that hypocrisy eventually devours itself. You can only fool your audience and yourself for so long before someone finally points, laughs, and refuses to play along. And laugh we did. In the end, Sunny Hostin's breakdown wasn't just about being exposed. It wasn't even about politics. It was about the unavoidable crash between fragile egos, manufactured outrage, and the unshakable wall of reality. This time, The View spun the wheel and it stopped on humiliation, and that's the beauty of it all. When the smoke clears, when the excuses fade, and when the last tear is dabbed away, one truth remains: you can't outrun reality forever. Sunny Hostin tried, The View tried, but the curtain got pulled back, and what we saw wasn't courage, wasn't conviction, it was panic. Greg Gutfeld didn't just win an argument, he exposed the script, the stage, and the illusion itself. And once you see the Emperor has no clothes, you can't unsee it, so The View will march on, costumes pressed, lines rehearsed. But now, every performance carries the shadow of that one unforgettable moment, when the mask slipped, the tower crumbled, and the truth walked right in, unapologetic, undeniable, and unstoppable. Greg Gutfeld didn't just win an argument, he shattered the illusion. He pulled the script apart line by line, exposing the stagecraft for what it really was: recycled outrage dressed up as wisdom. And once you've seen the Emperor has no clothes, you can't unsee it. The View will keep marching on, costumes pressed and lines rehearsed, pretending the spotlight hasn't dimmed. But now, every broadcast carries the shadow of that unforgettable collapse. The moment when the mask slipped, the tower of contradictions crumbled, and the truth walked straight in, unapologetic, unstoppable, and unforgettable.